All right, man. Got the man, the myth, the legend, Eddie V, the first guest on the show, dude. This is freaking awesome, dude.
Hello, hello.
Yeah, dude. Thanks for bringing all this stuff, dude. This stuff's freaking nuts.
Of course, I'm happy to. Always happy to share this hobby with somebody else and kind of share this world of what starts out as a small 97-cent car, but it dives into just so many avenues.
Yeah, dude. That's the thing. That's one of the reasons. One of the reasons why I'm glad you came on is because there is an entire world of these cars and the artists that spend hours and hours and hours. You said some of these that you like use like real car paint. Like that's kind of what I wanted to shed some light on. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so you start out the life of these cars that start out in this package. You buy them in the store again for 97 cents, or if you want to go to the nicer ones, you can pick them up for $6, $7. You pick them up with nicer wheels, nicer paint. So you start out with a nicer car at the beginning, but you're talking you can strip them down, use basic hand tools, take them all apart. And you're talking, you strip them of the paint. Sorry, we're gonna cut that. Sorry.
Oh, no worries.
Yeah. So essentially, what you do is you're gonna strip the paint off of them, and you're treating these vehicles as an actual car. You're filling in the spots. You're using body filler. You're shaving down components, and you're talking hours upon hours of work that essentially get taken into account to ultimately represent something that is truly a one-off piece of art when you really start looking at it.
Like this car you're showing me here, I'm looking at, and we'll get a feature spotlight on it. I mean, there's literally, I can see like plug wires that look like almost the thickness of a hair. And you can see the ridges in the carburetor. They did like some sort of rusted paint job. Like, I mean, this thing, how many hours something like that take?
Something like this, if I remember correctly, because he actually did it as a set.
Wow.
So combined, if I remember correctly, he told me about 30 hours.
30 hours? Oh, for
Yeah,
both cars?
For both
Holy
cars.
moly, dude.
You're talking the rust patina on the actual paint job. You start getting real close, you actually start to see not only the plug wires, but you start seeing the headlight wires. You start seeing the radiator hoses. You start seeing the exhaust wrap, the details that gets done in there. You start seeing the bluing of the exhaust. You start going into those small, intricate details that you are talking. People are literally doing this with a monocle, putting these things together with a single haired brush, putting in some of these details in these cars. So
It's incredible. It's like I can imagine somebody like disassembling a watch or like servicing a watch, like that level of like how small these things are and how much detail. Um, Someone would have to have a lot of patience to be doing this.
definitely, it's something where it is a labor of love. At the end of it, you as an artist, these are not my cars in a sense where I did not make these, but these are just my collection, and I've just had the opportunity and the luck and the blessing to be able to get close to these artists and to know their craft and get real close to it, enjoy it. And so with these guys, I mean, they do it as a labor of love, and yes, they can make money off of it and whatnot. But all of these guys ultimately is just they enjoy the car, they enjoy the process, they create the creativity aspect of it. The again, like I said, the one-off points of it where it you can try to replicate it, but it won't be the same. And so again, it is truly art when you start looking at these pieces.
Yeah,
These
I mean,
cars.
it's like these guys aren't really looking to get rich off it, but to know that someone's enjoying like yourself, these cars that they have made that they're sitting on someone's shelf, um, and I mean also like for instance this Chevelle here, like I mean at this point you could you could probably have them make like your own car. You know what I mean? Like if someone literally had a wide body Chevelle with chameleon paint, you could probably hit one of these guys up and be like, "Hey, this is my car. Make my car." Because
Exactly.
I mean, what can they not do? You know what I mean?
Exactly. I mean, you're talking the level of what these cars can go to. I have other vehicles that have removable pieces, opening doors. I have vehicles that have the entire body completely modified and shaved down. The base of the vehicles, again, kind of going back to an earlier point where you can start out with a nicer vehicle from the very beginning, the $6, $7 car versus the $1 car. You can start out with what's called a metal base car. And so with the metal base, exactly that. You're talking the artist has to now modify the entire bottom of this vehicle, shave it all down to where it's completely flat to be able to allow the vehicle to still roll, still be able to, be a car. But you're talking razor thin fenders, you're talking hours upon hours of just fitting millimeters into making this look.
Like it does.
It is, yeah. It's
That's
a piece
crazy.
of art, and I go back to that just because I mean, again, it's something where it's somebody's labor of love, it's somebody's craft, it's somebody's time.
One thing I do want to mention is yourself, myself, and a lot of car enthusiasts have this knack for like modifying our cars, like just I don't know what that is, but like it's like a mod bug, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
And the problem is at some point you may need a lift, you may need like thousands upon thousands of dollars, you need another car to drive to work, but you can kind of, or you really can like exercise that mod bug of like modifying cars at this level, and it's doable. This isn't gonna like kill the bank. You don't need a whole garage and a lift. Like
Yeah.
you're still sort of enjoying that hobby, but with these cars, and it's pretty doable. I feel like not someone's gonna be at this level of making an amazing art piece with real automotive paint and like welding on a wide body, but someone can start where they want modifying these cars, and it's a little bit more like realistic than doing a wide body, and a real Chevelle will cost you like how much? A lot of money,
Easy, yeah,
you know?
easy. You're into the 50, 70,
Yeah.
all day long.
So that's really cool that you can scratch that itch in a realistic way with these cars, and I think that's really neat. How much do would some of these go for? Like this one was about 15 hours each.
About, yeah. So what you have a whole range. It really does come down to the artist themselves in terms of what kind of work they put into the vehicle. Because quite frankly, as we're looking at these two examples here, I paid the same.
Oh wow! So like this BMW is the same as this?
I paid the same for that set as I did for that single car.
Huh.
But now the thing is now you've got, okay, friends, not as close friends. You have the artist. You have the point of somebody that is essentially trying to make money off of it, and somebody that is wanting to just do it just because somebody appreciates and enjoys it. But you've got, again, going back to the original point where you start out with a 97-cent car and you're easily into the hundreds. You can easily pay $100, $150, $250. Or you can pay $30 for somebody to just rattle can, put, I want this car here red.
I see.
Okay, fine. Somebody pulls it apart. We'll pull the rivets off if they're not lazy about it. Strip it down, repaint it with a rattle can, dry it, maybe swap the wheels on it. $30. Thank you very much. Here you go. But again, when you start talking hand-built, hand-built parachutes, hand-built wheelie bars, and you start getting into the interior of it, you're talking roll cages, detachable steering wheels, custom shifters, exhausts, and all of these points is again, you had mentioned it as a watchmaker. It's exactly that. Is you're taking these intricate little pieces apart and you're putting it all back together in the hopes to not only look right, but I mean, for a simple effect, is for it to roll, for it to look right. But it is truly a craft in it, because it's definitely not easy. I've definitely seen people take many days and many cars, because this is a trial and error kind of thing. You know, what you see is people that are not only perfecting, but they are still working on their craft, their art. You know.
Yeah.
So it's cool.
It's pretty crazy. So on one end, you have people who are, buying these cars and then they're just completely revamping them, top to bottom. But then on the other end, you kind of have like these rare ones, like this GTR here, that you can just buy as is. But these can be really really rare. Some of these cars, and people want to collect them and things like that.
Yeah, so what you're holding there actually, so there enter the world of what's called super treasure hunts. Super treasure hunts, in a short sense, are the like model of a vehicle that is in that specific series. So you can have a quote unquote normal GTR, and then you have the super treasure hunt. You have a slightly different variation in paint, better wheels, stuff like that that make it that much nicer. Now at that point, that car becomes that much more than your average car, because typically you only have one of those for every few cases, and each case will carry 70 cars, 72 cars, smaller cases 30. So you're talking, the chances of finding it can be quite small. You look for, when you flip the car a little bit, you kind of jostle it around in there just kind of gently, you can look underneath the car behind it. You'll see verbiage and a little lightning bolt right underneath the actual card itself here. And so what you're looking for when you're out and about searching for it, is you're looking for that kind of stuff. And they look very, very close, but it's to the trained eye that will make a collector just go nuts, going store over store over store, just trying to find that car. Unfortunately, on the other end is you have a collector aspect, and then you have what's called a scalper aspect. The collector is great. I finally found this car. I've wanted it for a long time. I've enjoyed it. I want to keep it. It's part of my collection. Then you have other people that, again, all of a sudden, this car, because it is so rare, now can be resold for $60, $70, $100, $250 for that car that original person sold, bought it for 97 cents, a dollar.
Jeez.
Whatever it is.
Wow.
And you have a whole bunch of different characteristics kind of going into the world of baseball collecting, baseball card collecting, comic book. You have the condition, you have the look of the card, you have the car itself, you have, what is the actual condition of all that, and that all determines the actual value of the vehicle.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's like when you look at like a regular Hot Wheel, they kind of have like, or any type of like small model car, they kind of all seem to have like the same kind of like wheel on them, or similar like kind of paint. But like this looks like a real wheel.
Yeah.
Just at this scale, and the paint. So that's kind of what would set one apart from a regular one. Is like you said, nicer paint, like better wheels. It's all in, I guess, the detail.
Exactly, and that word is what I've always enjoyed about these little cars. I mean, we call them little cars, but wow, there's so much to them.
Yeah.
But it's exactly with that is these details that are in these vehicles. You're talking again, the one that you were just holding. You have opening pieces to them. You have wheels that are modeled after actual cars. You have factory colors. You have all those little fine details. You have the badging. that comes to it. You know, you can sit and look at a vehicle, and I still find myself coming back to some of these cars and revisiting details that I find. It's just like, oh man, that's cool.
And that's why I'm glad we're doing this, because myself and like a lot of people wouldn't even know that like literally you could potentially buy an R34 GTR with like a hood that opens and literally it shows the engine, the intake, the strut tower, and these wheels look like TE37s. Is that what they are?
Yeah,
I mean,
that's what they're modeled after.
And it's got literally like GTR on the back, Nissan. I mean, that's pretty crazy. These things must be really rare because a lot of car enthusiasts and myself, growing up, like, I don't know that I've ever even had like a car like that at that level, you know?
No.
They kind of all had like the stamped wheels, you know what I mean, that are all the same and whatnot. So
Yeah.
that's pretty crazy, man.
Yeah.
It's pretty sick.
I ended up just kind of falling into this world. I've always been a car enthusiast since I was a kid. And so at that point, you run into a lot of car enthusiasts. Hot Wheels and just car culture are pretty synonymous with each other. But
Yeah.
usually a lot of people, it'll stop there. You know, and when you start diving into this world of, you know, that GTR that you were just holding there, you're talking membership exclusive vehicles that is not available to the general public. You start getting into numbered vehicles. You start getting into vehicles that are only available at auction. You know, and so auction and conventions also, all the way to, again, you can just pick them up at a gas station. You know,
Yeah.
so that world, because it is so vast, I think that it just encases so many people, or can encase so many people that they never really thought that it could. You know, as people have these vehicles, you know, they can pick up these cars and say, oh yeah, I remember my brother used to have a Camry like that, or, you know, or whatever it may be, and it's just that small little memory of what it is, you know, and it's just everybody at some point has been involved with a vehicle at some point.
Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like everybody has a car enthusiast inside of them. Either their uncle had a cool Corvette, or, you know, everybody has the dream car, like, and you know, I think that's really neat to really like. And what I think is so cool about the cars that you brought in your collection is the variety. I mean, we have this GTO here, drag car, so we kind of have the domestic scene, JDM, GTR 34s, and then we also, like, you know, just ends of the spectrum, we have this lowrider that you said actually came with these hydraulics on it.
Yeah.
So, you know, there's sort of all this variety and encapsulated in, you know, different car cultures at, you know, with these cars. This is also really, really cool.
Yeah, going back to what we were saying is everybody having a car at some point in their life will have some sort of cool story associated with it, you know, and so because of that, you're able to touch such a broad spectrum of cultures. Again, going from a lowrider scene to off-roading trucks to import scene to the muscle cars, really just anything and everywhere. Is vehicles obviously have touched the lives of everyone, and so if you're able to have a sliver of that at some point, that, you know, is just super, super cool to me, to just have being able to have that piece roll around with you and just be able to look at it and say, oh yeah, you know, you remember that specific memory.
I mean, a perfect example is like this set here. Everybody knows this set. You don't even have to love cars. I mean, look right behind you. I have that poster on the wall.
Yeah.
And look, a picture is cool. Someone printed out 1 million of those.
Mm-hmm.
But you got this set here. People look at this, a lot of memories go through their head of like prime time, like car culture, when this movie came out, Paul Walker, like, so to have that in this set, you know, it's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, that one specifically, I love the fact that it not only does it show a film, but it also does show a scene.
Yeah.
That, you know, everybody, you know, that has seen the movie will remember that scene. And so I always enjoyed that box just for that set or just for that scene and just how well they did that.
Yeah, that is cool. And I mean, like, how many quotes come, like, tuna no crust comes to my mind when I see this. You know what
Oh
I mean?
yeah.
Or, 10-second car, like, just
Oh.
so many memories and things and quotes. And it's a lot cooler to have it like this with these actual like replica cars than just like a poster on the wall. And it's really cool. So that's just kind of one example. Like this is from a movie, based
Yeah.
off of a movie.
Yeah, that car or that set, I should say, that set there actually, it was available in store and everything, and so it's not like that one was something super exclusive. But the fact that you can, as you said, you can actually hold it and take a look at it, the details versus looking at just something on the wall.
Yeah.
That being able to encapsulate that moment in that film is just super cool to me.
Like if I walked into somebody's house or like my boss's office or something, and and they have this, like I'm automatically like, oh, this dude, he knows what's up. Like that's cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and that's the car culture.
Exactly.
That's
It's
their
just, he
culture.
knows.
Yeah.
He knows the cars. He knows.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's super dope. I'm just gonna double check this thing's still rolling, dude. Dude, this is awesome.
There you go.
Sweet. Yeah, I'm really happy you brought all this stuff.
Oh yeah. Lots of points.
And like this one, and a lot of these are officially licensed. Like this is officially licensed by Nissan.
Yeah. Yeah. So licensing is a big thing actually. To be able to get all the models down, to be able to get the names, the rights, and everything, and actually, so Hot Wheels no longer has a partnership with Ferrari.
Really? That's so sad.
Yeah,
Are you
yeah,
kidding me?
Yeah, so you will not see any new
The heck?
Ferrari diecast cars.
Why is that?
Just somewhere in their lines of communication, somewhere in there, they just said no more, don't want it. And if I remember correctly, it happened somewhere around like the mid 2000s. I have a few of them, but they're stored
Damn,
away.
so that's got to be rare.
They're on the rare side. They're definitely cool to have, but it's something where you're able to have again like a piece of history where they no longer produce it.
Damn,
it's no
Ferrari,
longer.
that is kind of messed up because there's kids that want like Ferrari little Hot Wheel or something, and it's
Yeah.
like, dude, come on, man.
Yeah, you
What
got
are you doing?
Lamborghinis, you got McLarens, you've got so many others,
Yeah.
but not Ferrari. Don't know why, but they decided not to. But you've got. You had actually mentioned it when somebody has. It's always super cool when you take going back to these customizers. You've got these customizers that can take a photo of a vehicle and then just make you a whole little mini of
That's
that
crazy.
car.
Yeah.
Again, being that it's one off and only you have it.
Yeah.
That individual feeling is just super cool. I had a friend of mine that he had made a car for a friend of his, and he got it down to where he was able to get the dings and the scuff marks and those details. It's just
That's
there aren't
nuts,
very
dude.
many things that are this small, this intricate that you can sit there and do that
Yeah.
with, and it's such a cheap intro to get
Mhm.
into.
Yeah.
Again, $1.
You should get one of the Lexus, dude.
So I have one that is in the making,
Oh, nice.
but it is not Hot Wheels.
Oh,
It is not Hot Wheels. So you've got a whole world of just mini die casts, and you have Japan exclusive. You have companies that only will make cars out there, and so you have to get them imported. So this specific car, a couple of cars that I have, Hot Wheels never made my Lexus. And so,
really?
Yeah.
I'm actually kind of surprised
Yeah,
about that.
yeah, they didn't make very many very many Lexus models actually in general.
That's surprising.
Yeah, so Lexus, don't know. they got to get in there. But I was able to source a vehicle, get it imported from Japan, and again, you're talking these little cars, but that little car cost me $30, but to have it, to know,
Yeah.
okay, it's a mini of my car.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
sick.
yeah. And so I have a friend of mine that's going to take it apart and color match it and do all
That's
that
awesome.
to it.
I
Yeah.
gotta see when it's done.
Yeah, yeah. So that'll be super cool.
That kind of like reminds me when you see these Instagram videos of these guys like showing their exact car on top of the hood of their car, and then they zoom out.
Yep.
Oh crap!
Yep. Exactly. And again, you talk about an individual, you talk about one-off. That's really what I've enjoyed a lot about this hobby. When you start talking the customization aspect. Again, handmade parts. You've got details that will. I mean, unless you're actually using an actual magnifying glass, you won't actually see. But if you look inside of the interior on this, you've got an actual gauge cluster. You've got, yeah,
That is crazy.
yeah, you've got again the shifters custom on it. You've got a whole bunch of stuff that is just again one-off, handmade, and somebody just sat there and
Wow,
put
dude,
it all
I can
together.
barely see that shifter, but I see it.
Yeah.
And it's got the parachute cord from the back going underneath.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
crazy, dude.
Yeah, the amount of detail again is just mind blowing. And so every time that I would get these in the mail is just it was
Oh,
always I mean
best feeling.
of course, because now that you see something in picture and then you're actually able to hold it,
Yeah.
and actually get to appreciate everything. And I think that's one of the biggest things is just kind of stopping and saying, oh, it's not just a plastic little toy.
Yeah.
Again, it's art. You sit and you look at it and you can
Yeah, appreciate it.
soak it in.
That's awesome,
So-
dude. Well, I really appreciate you bringing these over, dude, and we're gonna have to have a lot more episodes
Yeah.
because I know you have like the craziest collection, and I'll definitely put in more clips for everyone to see of everything that we're looking at and some other stuff. But I mean, as far as like with cars, like not only is this your hobby, but you've been working in the auto industry for what, almost 15 years?
Yeah, actually, right now, my last count, actually, I just hit 17 years in the automotive industry.
17 years,
Yeah.
dude. That's crazy.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
you're still a young guy, dude. So you started young.
Yeah, I graduated out of high school. I went to UTI, graduated, started out as a technician, an intro level. Right
Oh,
at
I
the
didn't even
bottom,
know
and
you
then-
were a tech, dude. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah. I started out as a technician at a Infiniti dealership.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
What the heck?
Yeah. Lube tech. You start out, humble beginnings. You start from the
Exactly.
very beginning, and I had to learn what it was to be in an actual shop versus a controlled environment. And so after about a year and a half, 2 years of doing that, there was actually a specific conversation that I had with my master technician, and he told me it's not the industry's changing,
Yeah.
and it's not getting worth it. It's not worth it. And so I had made the transition over out of technician over into the service consultant side. Been doing that. I transitioned into a manager role for a little bit, and I realized that I was not the type of person to run the management role that they wanted me to. And so went back to a service advisor and been doing that. So it's been a lot of years doing it.
Yeah. Damn, man. You've been at it for a while. And like
Yeah.
a lot of people don't really realize like the auto industry is one of the toughest industries. I mean, you got to be ready to work like a lot of hours. In some aspects, I think it is a little bit underappreciated, to be honest.
It is. I would definitely say so because you've got the people that will encapsulate the dealership,
Yeah.
but there are people. I think it comes down to an actual individual interaction with the person. You could be an employee of the place, but you always want to understand that yes, you are working for the company, but you as an employee, you represent it.
Yeah.
And so a customer coming in, is that's one of the most important aspects of it, is because you're the representative of Subaru or of Nissan or whatever brand it is that somebody may work for. Your interaction with that person is ultimately what's going to dictate what it is that they're going to feel leaving, and that, because of the fact that it does that with people, again, it encapsulates their aspect of it, their perception of it.
I see what you're saying. It's sort of like if someone goes to service, they're not going to go service with Fletcher Jones. They're going to go service with Eddie Valderrama. And, it's like, I guess what people need to realize, I think what you're kind of getting at is like, it's more down to like the person that you're specifically dealing with and working with who's helping you, not the dealership.
Yeah, because ultimately, as the person is, they're also trying to make a living too, and so you've got to understand that there's a balance. It is a business, but there is a balancing point, and again, it comes down to the relationship of does the customer feel comfortable enough to have that relationship with the person, and I feel that if people don't allow it to happen and just, oh, it's a dealership, I don't want anything to do with it, I don't want anything, and it's just a faceless thing, that definitely changes the perception of it.
And no two dealerships are made the same. Like, just so everyone knows, if you're not aware, like literally, it's pretty crazy. Like, I mean, there's too many stores, there's too many brands. It's so hard for these manufacturers who, especially like are international, to try and quality control all these dealerships down to each survey. But literally, you can have a Toyota dealership that it's almost like going to Mercedes-Benz, minus a loaner car. But and then some where you're like, I will never come back here again. So just that's one thing that I think is important that people realize. No two dealerships are made the same.
No, just like every McDonald's, you've got them individually owned and franchised, and so everybody's got their own set of rules. Not every Porsche dealership is the same as every other. Not every Nissan dealership. Not every, everybody is owned by a different person, or it's going to be by a different individual group. They have their own standards. They have their own representation. They have their own look to uphold, whatever it may be. But exactly that is, just because you look at a Toyota dealership on one end of the town that doesn't apply to the same dealership that would be across the town as another Toyota.
Yeah.
So at that point is that having that separation and people understanding that there is that. Sorry.
Oh no, it's getting warm in here. It's warm in here. But
it's hot.
Yeah, it is kind of warm, dude. It's like humid today too.
Yeah.
But yeah. So speaking of like, you mentioned at that time years ago what your master tech was telling about the industry changing.
Yeah.
It's changing again, and it may not. I don't know what's going to be happening, but it's changing, as you mentioned to me, to the point where some of these brands are going direct to consumer.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
Yeah. So when you start talking about what's going on right now, in terms of the whole microchip shortage and just people not being able to get new cars, effectively, you've got manufacturers that are starting to think, okay, well, do we even need the sales aspect of the dealership anymore? You've got companies like Tesla and Rivian that are doing direct to consumer, and at that point, you have people that can literally just click, boom, and then the vehicle shows up at your front door.
Yeah.
Somebody walks you through it, and you're done. How nice is that?
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. So like, I know, like, for instance, if you were to walk into a Tesla, and this is pre-pandemic, everything, into a Tesla showroom, it's sort of like they'll have like one Model X, one Model 3, like a Model S or something, let's just say, and they'll show you like all of the colors on a screen, like all the information and how yours could look. And as you mentioned, you literally just order it.
Yeah.
So it's interesting that those companies took that approach from the beginning, but now we're seeing like Ford, who's been established for so many years, is starting to do that, which is that's pretty interesting.
Yeah, Ford is actually, they're talking about between, right now, Ford is trying to be the big American push for the EV market. Obviously, for a long time, you've had Tesla that has dominated it for such a long time, but now Ford is wanting to kind of get a bigger piece of that. And so they're saying, okay, what is Rivian doing? What is Tesla doing? What are these other companies doing that is able to make them so effective? And so with that is when you start talking Ford, again, a big established company, not a company that's only been around for 15, 20 years. You have a company that's been around for 100 plus. And so when they start talking, they start thinking, that means things are going to start changing. Other companies, other manufacturers are going to fall in place and things are going to change, you know. And so I definitely feel that there is that point where eventually you've got the manufacturer that may end up doing that and just say, hey, you know what? We may not need a dedicated sales department anymore. And so now the dealership is now a lounge area and a service center. Because again, as we talk about that progression, the change,
Yeah.
you have way more people that are looking at a full electric vehicle. So chances are your dealership is going to be used as a charging station slash
Yeah,
service
it's that
station.
showroom, service station. Yeah, I mean that's and people may be watching this thinking, "Oh, that sounds crazy," but it's really not because that literally exists today.
Yeah.
So it's really not too far out of the ordinary that that can become like a mass adoption thing.
Yeah, no, they've definitely they're in the works of potentially making it happen. Just I mean, you have the whole legal aspect to it. That was originally set up way back in the day to supposedly protect the consumer. And so at that point now, you know, you have the advances in technology. You have the fact that nowadays people just want everything that much quicker, that much easier, that much, you know, just black and white, just get it done. I just want a car. Again,
Yeah,
okay, what's easier than having it delivered to your front door?
that's true. Yeah, because I mean the years of like the salesman going to you, going to his sales manager, and like negotiating back and forth is so strange to me. I feel like there's so much wasted time. And like I've never actually been in sales, but we've worked with salesmen and everything.
Yeah.
And look, they do a great job. Like you know, it is they are helping the customers and everything. But I just think that model of like a customer sitting there, and it's like, all right, game on. The bell rings, and it's like, well, I want the best deal, and they want to sell it to you for more.
Yeah.
And you waste a lot of time. It's stressful, and yeah, I just feel like that's kind of an old school type of business model that may be fading out. And I think these crazy markups at these dealerships that we're seeing, I mean, 100 grand for a two-door Ford Bronco down the street, I
Yeah.
think is going to be the thing that breaks the camel's back on this new move.
Yeah, I mean, going back to, you know, the whole experience of somebody buying a vehicle it is awkward. It is uncomfortable. It is time consuming. It is, for some people, it becomes their second job trying to find a vehicle, and especially right now with the shortage going on.
Yeah.
You know, so not only are you applying your time before you even walk into the dealership, okay, now I have to sit there and, you know, do the process, the financing, the number game, the whole dance.
Yeah.
You know, and so with that is to cut out that entire process and just say, okay, these are my terms, this is what I'm looking for, and the entire manufacturer just say, okay, fine, that works. The car will be delivered this day. Does that work? Sure.
Yeah.
You know, and the markups thing, you know, with the sales right now, the adjustments, whatever it is that you want to call it, or try to justify it, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't make sense. There's a point where as a company, I understand. Okay, you have to operate. There's operating costs. You know, you have to keep the lights on. I get it, but when you're gouging
Yeah.
that aspect,
Yeah.
it's too much.
And like, look, yeah, I mean, I kind of understand. Like, look, we have less cars coming in. We're selling less cars. maybe, $1,500, depending on what car. If we're talking Toyotas, two grand maybe. But I mean, it's not even about that. Like there's literally cars like normal cars that people would probably afford on a day-to-day basis, 10 grand over. These nicer cars, 20, 30, sometimes even 40.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, a Ford Bronco is kind of like a normal person's car, and something like that isn't too unattainable. But yeah, when you're marking it up an extra 40 grand,
Yeah.
that's too much.
Yeah.
That's gouging, as you mentioned. Yeah,
Yeah, I
it's
mean,
crazy.
when you start talking, you start adding on the cost of a whole other car onto
Yeah.
a car. I mean, why?
Yeah,
And unfortunately, is you have people that they're put in positions where now they have to buy a car.
yeah,
They have to, from one day to the next, a car accident, or it gets stolen, or it gets damaged in some way. Whatever it may be, is all of a sudden these people have to buy a car right now, and so they're stuck with, you get these options. This is what you got. These are the deals. This is what we have. Take it or leave it. And so I feel that is how people are getting hit with these markups, or getting hit with the super high payments, out of the desperation of needing a car.
and
Something so simple.
And when you say like getting hit with the markups and hit with these high prices, it's literally hitting people because auto repossessions are up more than ever. Consumer automobile debt is skyrocketed. Like it's literally cause and effect, and we are starting to see the effects. And some of these loans were, I've heard, under 3%, 2%, and people are still getting these cars repossessed. The repo lots are filling up like crazy. So yes, as you mentioned, it really is cause and effect.
Yeah, I mean, you've got the average car payment now that's over north of $700.
Yeah.
Plus insurance, plus gas.
Registration.
But yeah, I mean, where, how?
Yeah.
How do you justify spending over $1,000 for this mode of transportation?
Yeah.
And then again, unfortunately, some people have to, in that sense, where they need a car in that emergency point. But if you don't think about it, you're now stuck in this payment of $1,000 a month plus your interest.
Yeah.
And you're talking, these interest rates are through the roof right now too.
That's crazy.
So you start doing the math. You're now paying $100 grand for a Tundra. You're paying, $120,000 for a vehicle that, if this wasn't going on, would have just been a normal vehicle, and you would have been able to obtain it in a normal time frame. You would have been making normal payments. Everything would have been fine, and you would have been able to afford it at a normal rate. But now, no. That $70,000 truck now all of a sudden costs you $120,000.
And some people don't even necessarily realize it.
No.
Like they don't realize with the interest, if I do pay this thing off in 72 or 84 months, it actually will become, instead of 70, 120 grand.
Yeah, I mean,
So,
that
that's
racks
crazy.
up real quick.
Yeah.
Racks up real quick, and it's just definitely something where, the average consumer right now, definitely, it's one of those things where educate. Definitely come in with your notes, come in with whatever it is to just prepare yourself for what it is that you're looking for.
Yeah.
And be realistic. Understand. Okay, what is my credit standing? What am I? Where am I? What am I looking at? What can I afford? And I feel that asking yourself those actual questions and not, oh, what do I want? What can I afford? That shift is what will definitely save you from getting taken, or from getting a vehicle that is way too much money than what you should be paying.
Yeah.
And oftentimes people get blindsided with the shiny pretty.
Yeah.
But can't.
Damn, dude. Well, shoot, man, it's getting pretty hot in here. I really appreciate you putting up with the 95 degrees in this garage.
We're
And
roasting in
dude,
here.
bringing all this stuff. Like, honestly, man, I'm really happy we did this, because I feel like we kind of broke into covering these cars, yeah, automotive business, and just scratch the surface of your like expertise being in this industry for so long, dude. But yeah, man, I really appreciate it, dude.
Of course. I'm
Is there
happy
anything
to.
else I'm missing, or you want to hit on today? Obviously, we can always do a lot more, shows and stuff, dude.
Yeah, I mean, my main thing is just I would just say, these little cars. We'll start there. These little cars, way more than what people think. It's definitely something where it's a hobby for some. It's a when people are getting it tattooed on them, I think it's pretty serious. So
Yeah.
at that point, these things are lots of fun, and you're able to just enjoy something small and relatively cheap, and it can be as expensive as you want it to, but you're able to just enjoy that. And with the automotive industry, it's something where we, in a service point, people are dealing with a lot more than the sales side. So just education. That is really going to help you saving yourself from, falling prey to, unfortunately, yes, there are practices and things that happen, and that will be stuff that we can cover in other episodes.
Definitely. We could probably do a whole skit on just that. But I think we really hit on some good parts about like what you're mentioning about like, because of these crazy markups and the way things are, people are suffering, cars are getting repossessed, higher rates than normal. And now the industry is changing also as a result of that. So I'm excited to see what happens in the next 5 years, dude. I hope we can still have our gas-powered fossil cars.
Yeah, something.
So,
That'd be cool. I mean,
yeah, man.
It just, again, the education aspect for the people definitely will help save themselves in that, and the markups will maybe someday go away. Don't know, but we'll see.
Time will tell.
Yeah, exactly. All
Damn,
right.
dude. Shoot, man. Dude, this was amazing, dude. I'm so glad we did this, dude. And yeah, man, shoot. Maybe what we could do is if you could leave what's on the table, that we can use on another episode. I'm gonna go through all of our audio, and when we're talking about each one, get clips. I'll edit it in there. It's gonna look awesome, and then I'll add in some extra ones.
Cool.
So,
Gotcha.
oh yeah, dude.
Love it.